Did you know that over 70% of Americans believe UFOs are real? And what if I told you that some of the most shocking sightings ever reported remain completely unexplained to this day? Tonight, we're diving into four of the most mind-blowing and genuinely chilling UFO encounters ever documented. These are the cases that have left seasoned military officers, pilots, and thousands of ordinary people absolutely certain that something extraordinary is happening in our skies. From the cold forests of England to one of the busiest airports in America, each of these stories challenges our assumptions about what's possible and what might be watching us from above. As you listen, ask yourself, if so many credible witnesses have seen these craft, what could be behind them? And why do the explanations always seem to fall short? The Rendlesham Forest Incident, 1980. In December 1980, U.S. Air Force personnel stationed at RAF Woodbridge and Bentwaters in Suffolk, England, were drawn into what would become the UK's most famous UFO incident. Late on Christmas night, Airman John Burroughs and Sergeant Bud Steffens were on patrol when they saw strange lights descending into Rendlesham Forest. Thinking it might be a downed aircraft, they alerted their superiors. When Sergeant Jim Peniston and Airman Ed Cabansag joined them, they ventured into the trees and saw something that defied belief. Peniston later described it under oath. It was a triangular craft, maybe 3 meters wide at the base. It had blue and red lights running along the sides. As I approached, it appeared to be hovering above the ground. He walked right up to it and placed his hand on the surface. It was warm, like touching smooth glass that had been sitting in the sun, he said. Along the side were these symbols, almost like hieroglyphics. When I touched them, I had this overwhelming feeling like I was receiving information. Later, Peniston said he was plagued by a series of binary numbers in his mind, which he compulsively recorded in his notebook. Decades afterward, some researchers claimed the binary sequence translated to geographic coordinates, pointing to locations of ancient significance. While the first night's encounter was disturbing enough, the second night escalated things even further, plunging the base into a state of high alert and uncertainty. Deputy Base Commander Lieutenant Column Charles Halt, a highly respected officer, led a team into the forest to investigate the strange occurrences. They carried radiation meters, cameras, and audio recorders, determined to document whatever they might find in the darkened woods. As they walked through the clearing, their Geiger counters began to spike, readings far higher than background levels, indicating a source of radiation that shouldn't have been there. Then something appeared in the sky, an object defying easy explanation. It was like a bright red eye moving through the trees, Halt said later, recounting the surreal experience. It started dripping something, molten metal, it looked like. His audio recording captures the moment their skepticism turned to fear, a palpable shift in the tone of the investigation. There's no doubt about it. This is weird. There's something very, very strange. Now we're observing what appears to be a beam coming down to the ground. This is unreal. For nearly an hour, they watched as the object maneuvered in silence, firing beams of light into the base weapons storage area, a display of advanced technology that left them bewildered. Some Air Force personnel believed it was targeting the nuclear weapons kept there, raising serious concerns about the base's security. Despite hundreds of pages of official reports, eyewitness statements, and even radar anomalies, the Ministry of Defense closed the case, declaring the incident posed no threat to national security, a conclusion that many found difficult to accept. But for the men who stood under that pulsing light, the experience never faded, forever etched into their memories. It wasn't ours, Halt insisted in interviews decades later, his voice still filled with conviction. And if it wasn't ours, whose was it?
This case is often called Britain's Roswell, and it still sparks fierce debate, captivating researchers and enthusiasts alike. If the lights and craft were simply a misidentified lighthouse, as skeptics suggest, why did trained military officers describe metallic surfaces and radiation spikes, details inconsistent with such an explanation? And why, to this day, do so many of them maintain that what they saw was a structured craft, not an illusion, their accounts remaining remarkably consistent over the years? When seasoned personnel risk their careers to come forward, it forces us to ask, what exactly happened in those woods? And what implications does it hold for our understanding of the world?
The USS Nimitz Tic Tac encounter, 2004. This incident remains one of the most perplexing and well-documented encounters in modern military history. In November 2004, the USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group was conducting routine training exercises approximately 100 miles off the coast of Southern California. These exercises were part of a larger readiness evaluation. For over a week leading up to the now famous encounter, radar operators aboard the USS Princeton, part of the Nimitz Carrier Strike Group, had been tracking strange aerial objects. These objects were observed descending from an astonishing 80,000 feet to sea level in a matter of seconds. Senior Chief Operations Specialist Kevin Day, a seasoned radar operator, remembered how truly bizarre and unexplainable the radar returns were. The data defied conventional understanding. They would just drop out of the sky, hover, and sometimes disappear. No exhaust, no contrails, no wings. On November 14th, Commander David Fravor and Lieutenant Commander Jim Slate, flying FA-18F Super Hornets, were directed to intercept one of these unidentified objects. What they saw during that intercept was so strange and defied explanation that both highly experienced pilots later agreed. This was not like anything we'd ever encountered. Fravor vividly described the Tic Tac as a smooth, white, featureless craft, approximately 40 feet in length, moving erratically and with incredible agility above the water's surface. It was undeniably clear that the object was real, and its movements defied every known law of aerodynamics and physics as they understood them. Reflecting on the incident, Fravor recounted, "I don't know what it was, but I know it was intelligent." Years later, the Pentagon officially declassified and released the now famous videos to the public. The footage clearly showed the object accelerating at impossible speeds and rotating in midair without any visible means of propulsion. And even today, when Commander Fravor is asked if the Tic Tac could have been some form of advanced, top-secret human technology, his response is unwavering and unequivocal. I would say with certainty, no. The Tic Tac incident served as a catalyst, sparking a quiet revolution in how the military and government approach and handle these types of encounters. For the first time in decades, government officials and military personnel began consistently using the term UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena, and openly acknowledging the reality that there are objects operating in our skies, performing maneuvers far beyond the capabilities of anything we can currently explain or understand.
If this object wasn't a product of foreign technology, then what exactly was it? And perhaps even more puzzling, why, in all the years since, have we never seen anything quite like it publicly again? The mystery endures.
The Phoenix Lights, 1997, a name that still sends shivers down the spines of many. March 13, 1997, a date etched into the memories of thousands across Arizona, a night that challenged perceptions and ignited a debate that continues to this day. That evening, people from Henderson, Nevada, all the way to Tucson reported seeing an enormous V-shaped craft slowly gliding overhead. It was a silent spectacle witnessed by ordinary citizens and seasoned professionals alike. A black triangle the size of several football fields blocking out the stars. Airline pilots and air traffic controllers saw it too, adding credibility to the already widespread reports. Bill Greiner, a truck driver hauling a load toward Phoenix, told local radio, "I'll never be the same. Before this, if anybody had told me they saw a UFO, I would have said they were crazy. Last night, I became a believer." As the craft reached Phoenix itself, thousands watched in awe and fear. The sheer scale of the object defied explanation, leaving many questioning what they had just witnessed. It was as if the sky was falling, this massive thing, completely silent, moving right over us. Even former Arizona Governor Fife Symington, who at the time publicly mocked the event, later admitted under oath that he too had seen something extraordinary. "It was enormous and inexplicable. I was a pilot, and it was definitely not flares." When the military announced that the lights were simply flares dropped during exercises, many were outraged. The explanation seemed inadequate, a dismissal of what so many had clearly observed. "Flares don't move in formation across the entire state," said a retired Air Force navigator, "and they don't stay perfectly equidistant for hundreds of miles." To this day, no official explanation has satisfied the witnesses who stood under that silent, drifting colossus. The questions linger, unanswered and unsettling. The Phoenix Lights are a reminder that sometimes the biggest mysteries unfold not in secret labs, but in full view of thousands. It serves as a potent reminder of the unknown that still surrounds us. If even a fraction of these accounts are accurate, what flew over Arizona that night wasn't from any known fleet, and if it wasn't ours, whose was it?
The mystery endures, a testament to the power of the unexplained.
The O'Hare Airport incident, 2006 to November the 7th, 2006. It was an overcast afternoon at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport, one of the busiest hubs in the world. At around 4:15 p.m., a United Airlines ramp worker spotted something hovering over gate C-17. "It was a metallic disc, perfectly smooth, just hanging there," he said later. Within minutes, pilots in the cockpit of Flight 446 called the tower to ask, "Do you see this? It's directly above us." Air traffic controllers looked up and saw it too. A gray object just below the clouds, no movement, no sound. For nearly 5 minutes, ground crews, pilots, and tower staff watched in stunned disbelief. Then, without warning, the object shot straight up through the overcast sky, puncturing the cloud layer and leaving a perfectly round hole that stayed visible for 15 minutes. United Airlines mechanic Craig Kasher described the moment. "It just accelerated vertically. Boom, gone. I've never seen anything do that." Despite multiple eyewitness reports, the FAA dismissed the incident as a weather phenomenon, likely caused by airport lights reflecting off clouds. Witnesses strongly disagreed. "That wasn't a reflection," said one pilot. "That was an object, and it left a hole in the clouds." Even skeptical reporters were baffled by the consistency of the testimonies. "These were professional observers," said John Hilkovich of the Chicago Tribune. "Pilots, mechanics, controllers, people trained to identify aircraft, and they all described the same thing." To this day, the O'Hare UFO remains one of the most credible sightings in modern aviation history.
These 4 encounters have one thing in common. They left behind more questions than answers. Military pilots, air traffic controllers, governors, and thousands of everyday people, all describing the same impossible details. So what do we do with this? Dismiss it all as imagination? Or finally admit that something is happening in our skies and it's bigger than any of us can fully comprehend.
If you enjoyed this deep dive into some of the most mind-blowing UFO sightings ever reported, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. We've only scratched the surface. And tell us in the comments, which of these stories shook you the most? Have you ever looked up and seen something that defied explanation? The truth might be closer than you think.